Toyota Corolla is the best-selling car in the world ever, which is not surprising considering it ticks so many boxes your average Joe is looking for. It's a great, if somewhat boring, package for the price. That price right now is between 20 and 25 grand for a new one, and that got me thinking, can you find something used but more interesting for the same amount of money? Well, yeah! Hey, I'm Stipe, and in today's video, a crying polar bear, a pervert, and some interesting used cars. Roll it.
Number 7.
The 911 doesn't need much of an introduction. It's the benchmark by which all other sports cars are measured. And guess what? Instead of a Corolla, you could have a Porsche, like a lawyer or a porn actor, or whatever your mother always wanted you to be. However, the 20-year-old 996 generation is the only one that fits our budget. But that shouldn't bother anyone. This is partly because 911 is German engineering at its finest, and therefore it will be as tight as the day it left the factory.
Yes, you are tight like a tiger.
But mostly because all 911 looks the same. A new one comes along and feels more like a facelift than the next model. Also, this generation received some hate for being the only one without those iconic round headlights. But that's why it's so cheap right now, and there are conversion kits if you really must. As for me, I always like these sunny side up Porsches anyways.
Number 6.
In case you haven't heard, the Lancer EVO is dead. They don't make him anymore, and Mitsubishi says they never will. That makes it the last and final sporty Mitsu to bite the dust. So yeah, no more EVOs. And I don't think many people are understanding what that means. The long-lasting lineage of these legendary cars is finished, so if you want one, you'll have to convince someone else to sell it to you. Luckily, for $25,000, you can get any model year, but you should go for the newest one possible. Why? Because it's the best one. Remember what evolution means? Continuously getting better. So 10 is better than 9, and so on. And keep this in mind, after a few years when the herd thins out and people start understanding that there won't be any more of them, the prices of EVOs will skyrocket. So trust me when I say, get one while you can, and then sell it for profits. Ka-ching, ching, ching.
Number 5.
Buying a Toyota Corolla is a smart decision. It'll meet all your needs, and it won't cost you too much in the long run. Great. But you know what? You only live once. So live a little and check out this Dodge Ram SRT10. It's a 2.5-ton truck with a rear wing, lowered suspension, performance tires, and I almost forgot to mention, a freaking V10 engine out of a Dodge Viper. Power! How awesomely stupid is that? Turns out, very stupid, because this thing is awful at being a truck because of all the sporty parts. And it's awful at being a sports car because it's shaped like a fist and weighs as much as 28 Michael Moore units. Still, the SRT Ram can get to 60 in under 5 seconds, generate more G than your average car, and hold a swimming pool party in the back. Legend says you can also fuel it with tears of polar bears. Awesome.
Number 4.
There are many Continental GTs for the price, but unless you're a footballer or dressed like Justin Bieber, you'll want something classier. You'll want the Arnage. It is the old school Bentley, the one for aristocrats, the owners, and generally people who have Roman numerals in their names. Its horn actually shouts, "Move over, you peasant!" Basically, the Arnage demands obedience. You could probably park it in someone else's driveway and they'd be afraid to call the tow truck on you. Better yet, park it in front of a 5-star hotel and watch as they roll out the red carpet for you. Inside this land yacht, there's room for your driver, even more room for you in the back, as well as acres of leather, real wood, real metal, and that distinctive fine cigar aroma that you don't get in other cars. Did I mention that there was a special edition called Red Label? Like the whiskey. I think that says it all.
Number 3.
I strongly believe in my heart of hearts that a 69 Vet is the coolest car ever made. Here, let me explain. First, it looks gorgeous. From the pedestrian slicing chrome bumper over the curvy fenders to its lip spoiler, this car is the epitome of sexy and cool. It was actually styled to look like a shark. Don't believe me? Check out this concept car called the Mako Shark. What else? Oh, you have the option of a big block or a small block V8, where the small block was only a 5 liters. It had no trunk at all because Free Spirit carries no luggage. And lastly, it was the official car of the astronauts who walked on the moon. If that's not cool, then I don't know what is. But why 1969? Because later, the turn lights looked worse. It lost the chrome bumpers, became a lot more plasticky, and lost half its horsepower during the oil crisis. Basically, 69 is the best. Giggity.
Number 2.
This is by far the best car on the list, and somehow still within the budget. For the money, you can find anything from the regular V8s to AMG monsters, as well as some V12 models. Reasonable mileage, too. And don't think that just because the CL is 10 years old now that it's outdated. This is just the two-door version of the S-Class. We all know what the S stands for. This car, just like every other S-Class before it, is so packed with technology that it serves as a preview of futuristic things to come. Can you find a sleepiness sensor in the Corolla? Or a night vision mode? Or semi-autonomous driving? Yeah, I didn't think so. Even today, CL is the grandest of the Grand Mercs. It doesn't drive so much as it wafts, gently and effortlessly touring from A to B while cocooning you in a mix of quality materials and futuristic tech. It is amazing. So, what could possibly be at number 1 then?
Number 1.
I bet you weren't expecting this, but let's be real here. Any car mentioned before will simply ruin you financially. It's easy to buy a car, but then you must fuel it and service it. And trust me, that CL won't be very polite to your wallet. Your wallet! This is where a used Camry hybrid comes into play. After 12 months, it loses 20% of the original value and lands right within our budget. So now, instead of a Corolla, you get a bigger car, a higher segment car with some miles, but with more room, more tech, better materials, and comfier seats where the previous owner squeezed a fart or two. That's still a great deal if you ask me. But is it interesting? That's what this list is about. Well, no, not in a way the sport truck is. And even though Toyota tried to give it some personality with the latest design, it still remains a regular 3-box sedan, which is lame. However, as a car you'd have to live with every day, suddenly, a slightly used Camry sparks everyone's interest. And there you go, 7 more interesting cars for the price of a new Corolla, depending on how insane you are. Which would you go for? Comment below, or better yet, go to your local used car website and write in the comments, which is the best used car you could find for approximately $25,000 or equivalent money. That should be an interesting comparison. In the meantime, let's talk shit about ugly cars. Subscribe if you're awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.